Hello and welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth, the Pony Play podcast. My name is Kylian Denshornock, and I am your host and guide as we explore this vast world of play, kink, and community. With me today is the horse I affectionately call Horse Dad because he is the nicest, most supportive pony you will ever meet, and I'm so incredibly excited to have him here. We'll talk about how they first got into pony play, where they've gone with it, and what they're doing now. So please join me in welcoming to the podcast Pony Tromper. Tromper, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome here. I'm just excited that you said yes, because having had shared a meal with you at one point and then getting to talk to you afterwards and just our small conversations throughout time, you're just such a pleasure to talk to and a very uplifting person to be around, a very uplifting pony to be around. And just, I've never left a conversation without feeling so much better about myself. So I am so excited to see how today is going to go.
Me too. Thank you. Those are very kind words, and I am pleased that you feel that way. And I hope today is not the day I disappoint.
Well, you, me, and our listeners will find out together. So let's get into it. I'm asking everybody, how did you get started in pony play? What's your origin story?
My origin story. So, I've been involved in pony play and then the pony play community, such as it was since I was 19, which is now 30 years as of earlier this week.
Well, happy
I
birthday, first
was,
off.
thank you very much. It was, let me paint you a picture. It was the mid 90s. I had moved away from home. I grew up in southwestern Pennsylvania. And I'd moved out to Colorado for college, Colorado State University. Go Rams! I'd fallen in love with the horizon. Folks back east will know you can't really see the horizon. Out here, it's oops all horizon, and I loved it. I could see the foothills, I could see the sky, I could see everything. Um, at the time, the internet was a thing, but it was barely a thing. BBSs and dial-up servers were far more common, at least in the public consciousness. So here I was, a 19-year-old away from home for the first time, had moved halfway across the country. I was introduced to the internet. I'd never been on it before. So, of course, the first thing I did was I looked for pornography. I went on Usenet. And boy, did I find it even then. Uh, I found a lot of things, but it's funny. One of the in the first few weeks of being a very good student and new to the internet, and trolling through the not trolling but trawling through these various Usenet groups. Uh, what was it? Alt.bdsm. There was a picture posted one day, and this was back before you couldn't see the pictures in line. You could see that there was a picture, but then you had to download it and copy it on a disk and take it to a different computer where you could view it. Um, and this picture I saw was a leather hood that was equine shaped, and it was like a punch to the chest. I didn't know exactly what I was looking at, but I knew it was for me. And I went back and I did some sleuthing, and what it was one of the first promotional images of the waterhole leather pony hood made by Buck, who was in New England at the time. I believe Connecticut specifically. I probably got that wrong. I'm sorry. Uh, but it was my first exposure to this idea of pretending to be a horse as something more than just literal child's play. I'd already been exploring kink, at least conceptually. Again, new to the internet. What else am I going to do? But the idea that there was a place here for someone like myself who had grown up with horses and who suffered from isolation and rejection related issues. The idea that there was a way for someone to look at this through the lens of what I knew for sure love looked like, which is horses and the way they're treated, it spoke volumes to me. It took me about a year to save up the princely $300 it took to order one of these hoods. And the rest is history. But I hope I answered your question. That is how I discovered pony play.
You did indeed. The origin stories are always interesting because everyone, it's always different for everyone. Something kind of flips that switch just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
differently for every single person who gets into it. It's just gotta love the internet.
It has changed over time, but yeah, it's I'd rather have it than not.
Most days I would agree with you. Most days. Some days it's just like maybe we should just unplug it
Yeah.
for a little bit, but that's a different story. Um, so were there any other kinks that kind of pulled you in this direction, or did you go straight into pony play?
Oh well, it so absolutely it was something it was a confluence of things. But the pony play, the equine nature of it was threat from that very first moment became threaded through everything else. And at the time when I first saw it, it was in the mid late '90s. It was very much presented as BDSM style pony play, as compared to animal role play or a equine inspired. This was very much a submissive person, either being made to be a horse or serving it as a pony, but still a human in a submissive or subservient role. And that did speak to other kinks that were itching in my head: bondage, submission. Um, Nothing particularly exotic. Kind of that checklist I think many of us go through when we first discovered the community.
Hmm.
But they were the streamers on the galloping unstoppable force that was that this idea of pony play at the core. Uh, every all these other kinks, certainly their presence and the way that they were integrated into this early pony play images and stories and other things I was reading. They were woven into these narratives, but it was pony at the core and always has been for me.
And that's I'll admit that's rare. I think that's different than what how I mean, especially today, how a lot of people get into it
Yeah,
because a lot of people come in through either the furry community. There's a
yeah,
big, there's been a big influx of people coming into pony play through there, or it's people coming in through pup play and other
hmm,
versions of BDSM, animal role play. So yeah, it's refreshing to hear it that it's just like this was the spark that started it all was very much right into it.
it's uh thank you. I'm I wouldn't have it any other way.
Speechless, absolutely speechless. um, so how do you participate and play now? What does your average scene kind of look like?
Okay, so thanks. That's a really interesting question. I've been thinking about it. And so I am fortunate in that I have a handler. I have partners. So for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Pony Tromper. He, him, cis queer, polyamorous, demisexual. I have a couple of people who handle me regularly. My handler Jen, who I ran for and competed for and served our title years North American Pony Trainer together, and then my submissive and my handler Lark. Um, they are the two people I engage with pony play in a scene fashion, or in what I guess feels like a scene most frequently. With Lark, it is a lot of pony affection and attention. If we are doing something publicly, either as part of the herd or the two of us, it is uh, bio equine inspired training, gaits, running, galloping, grooming, a lot of horse flavored attention. It lets me slip away into that headspace where I can just respond on instinct. I can react without examining my reaction. With Jen, there's more of an edge to it, which is great. Uh, there can often be a sexual component to it, or at least an erotic component to it. And Jen and I both enjoy the rougher side of things, and it can be very intense, though that is mostly private play. At herd events, my play is often cart pulling, or jumping, or running, or standing tired in the shade. But again, bioequine inspired. But in terms of what my pony play looks like now, it does tend to be at either Rocky Mountain Pony Herd organized events or just privately in private residences, or occasionally at the clubs or at events we go to. I like to represent the pony community. I'll wear my tail and my feathering around my boots. But yeah, I guess those are the scenes. Even when it is overtly vanilla, we went to the Colorado Renaissance Festival. Lark and I did with one of her other partners and a Metamore, their partner. The four of us went to the Colorado Renaissance Festival, and I was dressed in my pony gear. I got a lot of pony attention, and it was a fantastic scene, and it was wonderful. It was very casual, and we were prepared to stop at the moment it made anyone uncomfortable. But lots of little kids and elderly women wanted pictures with the pony. It was great. So I guess that's what my pony scenes largely look like. It depends who I'm playing with, but it is yeah, horse themed.
I am also a frequent attender of the Renaissance Fair, specifically the Maryland one. Um,
Oh,
and many a time I have felt left out by not bringing my gear and wearing it around. But also, it's usually like it starts in August and goes through October. So it's and on the
ooh,
in the Mid Atlantic, it is very hot during those time. So
absolutely.
it's just maybe not.
Yeah, ours runs June to August. It is very warm. Uh, and I first briefly wondered, oh, I wonder why yours is so late. I imagine there are performers who perform at all of these, and they
Hmm.
can't be at both at once. So there
Yeah,
you go.
there is
Yeah.
definitely a calendar throughout the year that there's always a
Well,
Renaissance festival going on somewhere for these performers.
well, if you get the opportunity and decide the weather is conducive, I encourage you. I'd never been to the Renaissance Festival before 2021, and I was very nervous about wearing my tack. I don't like making people uncomfortable,
Hmm.
and I had the upper part of my pulling harness. I had my kilt, I had my hood and hooves, and my boots. Uh, Tanker's boots that I wrapped feathering around, not full pony boots. And it as I was getting dressed in the parking lot, very nervous, and I think I'd already said a half dozen times that I'm if this makes anyone uncomfortable, I'm going to come back and put on street clothes. A wagon full, a family pulling a wagon with kids walked by, and the kids got excited and yelled and pointed and said he's a horse, and the parents looked and waved and said he sure is. That's great, and they went in, and it was fantastic. It was really affirming, and I think you know it was so wonderful, and I remember being nervous, and I'm glad that it wasn't it has it hasn't been rooted in anything. And I would encourage you and anyone listening, if it is within their comfort zone, give it a try. The chances, the opportunities to be seen as our pony and equine selves in public are few and far between. And from my experience, the Renaissance Festival is one of those few opportunities.
Absolutely. Uh, yeah, I'll see if there are some later dates available to try and get in. Um, the Maryland one, famously this year, the wait time to get tickets on the first day that they were open, hours online, just
Ooh,
because their servers are not built for masses. And like, so people, like, there are about 300,000 tickets available over the course of the season. Like they cap out at, I think,
okay.
15,000 each day. It's a big festival. And like people were like number 60,000 in line, and they were only letting people in at a certain rate because of how much
Hmm.
bandwidth that their site had. And so, like, thankfully, my friends waited in line because I was sitting in meetings, and they were like
Yeah.
towards the front. But by the end of it, everyone, it made a huge splash on TikTok, and people were just complaining about it. And by the end of it, it's like, oh, all the dates are still available except for October 11th, which is like, surprise, surprise, the FetLife meetup day,
Uh,
which is like, of course, that one is sold out.
yeah.
But like, they sold out of, they were doing multi-day passes this year for like 4 days, 7 day, and the whole run. And the
Oh,
four
wow.
day and 7 day ones sold out in less than 2 hours.
I get the sense. I mean, I only have one data point to go off of, the Colorado Ren Fair, which strikes me as quite large. But I feel like the Maryland one might be a on an altogether different scale.
I mean, the Maryland one is one of those ones that like they have a permanent fairground that they have just for this
Yeah.
festival. And also, the Maryland state sport is jousting. So, like, it's kind of a thing. But I've, like, before I, like, moved to California for 5 years or so, it was like you could buy a ticket. You could buy a ticket day of, like,
Yeah.
walk up, buy a ticket. And ever since I've been back, it's just, no, you have to plan ahead by, like, 2 weeks if you want to get a ticket in. It's so
Wow.
crazy how much it's exploded.
That is, yeah. I walk to the Kroger's 5 minutes from my house and can buy a ticket there.
That must be so nice. Like
It is.
they won't there were definitely bots in line trying to buy tickets to then scalp, and they won't honor them if you buy scalp
Yeah.
tickets. Like that's where they are now. Like you have to buy them through their website,
Oh,
which is good but also crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, speaking of your tack and your gear, I mean,
Hmm.
it must be my pony hood's completely enclosed because there are lenses over the eyes. Like you're only breathe, like you only have the nose and the mouth for breathing, so it gets pretty warm. You made your own hood, right? And you made
Yep.
your own tack. Uh,
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Absolutely. So my hood is similar. The one I wear primarily. It is. I did make it. Thank you. And it is enclosed with lenses. So I have several hoods, but with the exception of my original water hole mask, and then my Tuft Squad hood. The other four or five I have are ones that I've made. So it's funny. I think a lot of the audience, and certainly you and I, are familiar with furry fan, furry fantasy. Yes, furry fantasy,
No, it's Fury.
and
There's only one
it's
R.
fury, but he pronounces it furry.
Does he really? That's
I'm so glad we're
crazy.
having this conversation. I say furry fantasy because uh, I believe now I'm not sure if I've manufactured memory, but I am pretty sure that I was uncertain, and then I was on a panel with Nighty, and Nighty, who is close to him, said no, it is furry fantasy.
Huh.
Because you're not wrong, it is spelled fury,
It is, but they're
but
also German, so interesting. Okay. Well,
I Well, regardless, thank you for sparing me the embarrassment unless you edit this in a particular way.
I
But,
won't. But now I'm
but
now I'm gonna have
anyways,
to rethink about
yeah,
my own episodes coming up.
I uh, I so beautiful, right? The furry fantasy
Hmm.
hoods are just gorgeous. And the first time I saw one was at a Thunder in the Mountains, I believe, 2011 or 2012, one of the other Denver ponies, of which at the time that was pre RMPH. Um, I was dumbstruck. I'd never seen anything like it. Unaffordable, aspirational.
Hmm.
But I did like the idea of an all-encompassing hood, as opposed to the modular mask style of the waterhole hood. Fast forward a few years, the RMPH has started. My then boyfriend and I were looking at pony gear. He was also a pony. Uh, and I said something just along the lines of just exasperated. I wish I could make a hood like that. And he looked at me and said, "Well, why can't you?" It's like, okay, smartass, I don't know. So let's look into this. And it was nice. I was between hobbies and I'd done leather work in the past and I thought it would be fun. And as great as the furry fantasy masks are, for a while I had been looking at the Bob Bassett masks. The masks coming out of made by the Bob Bassett Studios in the Ukraine, founded by a pair of brothers and named after their Basset hound Bob. And it is now a leatherworking studio with many artists. And they had made, amongst many of the other masks they made, they had made a horse mask and were then surprised when a group of people from the internet wanted a bunch of them. And that was great. So uh, I went out and I found every picture I could of Bob Bassett hoods from every angle I could. And then I absolutely wasted so much leather. I may be called to account in the afterlife to apologize to some cows for the waste of their flesh. But I eventually was able to figure out, okay, here is how wet molding works. Here is how I need to make a mold. Here's how I need to, here's how this material behaves. There was one point too, like, okay, so I want to make the main. How is this going to work? I remember distinctly one evening in my little workshop, wedged between my furnace and my hot water heater, sitting there with my hands covered in glue and horsehair, thinking, this cannot possibly be the way this is supposed to work. This can't possibly be the right way to be doing this. And I was correct. It wasn't the right way. But I was able to cobble together my very first hood, and it was wonderful and it was amazing. And I remember putting it on and looking in the mirror and having that sense of, holy shit, that doesn't even look like me. I had that moment of, oh my, oh my god, like that's a that's a horse. That's one of the pony players. That is someone who looks like these pictures I've admired. And then I immediately, I fell in love with it and I had that enthusiasm and I wanted to improve on it and iterate and build. And so I started making hoods. And it was a lot of fun. Uh, for then the RMPH was young. We were going to a lot of events. We needed funds. I try to be well aware of my privilege. I I wanted other people to have the joy that I had, and I wanted to fund events. So I started taking commissions where I could, with some very clear caveats that I am not a professional, I'm not a fursuit maker, but I am passionate about this, and I want to fill a niche for more affordable pony play equipment. And then the proceeds went to the herd, to funding trips and funding events. Eventually, we as a community reached a point where the niche was now being filled by more talented professionals than myself. And Tough Squad is the name that immediately comes to mind, but there are a number of makers out there who were doing great work. They knew what they were doing in a way that only professionals who do this for a living do. Uh, And then I switched gears. And as with everything else, this is only interesting when my passion drives me. So now I make hoods either for myself or I make them for charity and for charity raffles or auctions, largely to support leather community events and title run hopefuls.
Mm,
Uh, if a pet player or a pony player is running for a title, I I want them to get a hold of me so that I can contribute something for their basket.
mm,
I gave you a very long answer about how I make my gear. I also make hooves. I 3D print them, and uh, yeah, yeah, it's not just hoods. I make my hand hooves. 3D printers are great because I don't have the patience for sculpting. And then my partner Lark, my handler and current co-educator, one of our first projects as a couple was making the brown leather pulling harness that I can be frequently seen wearing. Um, and we made that together. She's also a very talented maker.
and that harness is beautiful. When I was looking at my first hood, which I did end up getting a Bob Bassett hood, but when I was looking at all the different styles and everything, because I want to be a unique pony, as everyone does,
Yeah.
I definitely came across your website at the time,
Mm.
and you had just stopped
Ah,
taking commissions. I'm just like, dang it. But yeah, man, you're it. I love when people get into something because they're passionate about it. I love the DIY sort of community that kind of pops up, especially in pony play, because so many of us are aware of how expensive this
yeah.
can be, and that's not to knock any of the makers who are making it. Like
Oh, of course not.
Furry Fantasy, their stuff is the highest quality. It is art. It is worth the amount of money that you're paying for it. But just like art, not everyone can afford it. And so trying to come up with ways to engage in pony play, and for those who feel like they need to have gear, or being able to make something that is functional and affordable, like pulling harnesses. Like,
Mm.
they don't have to be made of leather. Mine's not made of leather. Mine's made of nylon strapping. And I made my own based off of a DIY tutorial I found online
Yeah.
from Flutter,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant because literally it is a climbing harness on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom half with some extra straps across the top. So even with the climbing harness, which is built to take weight, it is built to pull.
Oh,
Like, it is super simple.
a- absolutely. And like you said, I do want to echo like the professional makers. It isn't a question of whether or not they deserve to charge what they're charging. Of course they do, but the accessibility of it is it, it can be scary. And
Hmm.
I, something I try to emphasize, like that sort of gear is aspirational. Um, in the last few years, I've changed the language I use around gear based on some feedback I got. To say you because I used to say the line, and I think the sentiment is very common. You don't need the gear to be a pony, um, but it was pointed out to me that actually for some people you do, they do. And so what I've changed, what I try to emphasize to people now is uh, one, if your heart tells you you need gear, I cannot tell you differently, but
Mm.
you do not need gear for community acceptance. You are here and you are as much a pony as I am or anyone else is just by wanting to be a part of the community and participating in the community. And you will not be excluded for lack of gear. And if you are, come and find me. I'll straighten things out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that language. I love the way that's said. That's perfect. What I really want to do is also bring in those people who are only attracted to the gear,
Oh,
or
yeah.
those who see those who they think the gear is really hot, but they haven't like really connected with the community yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people out there, and I want to embrace them and fold them in, because it's just like, You were missing a huge part of this that would just be an incredible addition to what you're doing, an incredible addition to your social life and community that you're searching for.
It's interesting because I agree with you, and I'm curious to see how that goes because, um, and the way I think of this, I guess, is shorthand in my head are the Instagram ponies, the ponies who have
Mm-hmm.
the gear, the aesthetic, but they don't connect with the headspace. And some of these ponies who I've spoken with, they have said, you know, for them it is the aesthetic. The headspace is not something they're even necessarily pursuing. And and while that is not my approach and it's hard for me to imagine, that's perfectly valid. And I've wondered what because these are ponies often who have demurred or very gently declined invitations to participate with herd events because they're afraid like what I'm doing is different from what you're doing. Basically that's I'd be uncomfortable, other people would be uncomfortable. If we could find the approach to fold all this in, if all you want out of pony play is to look super hot and look amazing and have this tack, like that's perfectly valid. That's wonderful. I love the pictures.
Yeah, I just wish it wouldn't clog up the wait lines.
I I
That's my only complaint.
I've thought about this. So you mentioned at one point, or we spoke about, so like people, I came to pony play through leather and kink,
Hmm.
but there are a lot of people who come to it through like the furry community.
Hmm.
I've been to one FurCon, the first year of Denver. I am not a furry myself, though the art is great. I love it. In around the time I discovered pony play, I also am I a furry? Let's look at this, and the answer is no. It doesn't spark anything in me, but that's fine. The furry community is great, and furries are ponies too. Wonderful. But the one thing that I've noticed in talking with furries in our community locally as well as nationally, fursuits. Fursuits are expensive, it turns out, very
Very.
expensive, and have normalized, I think, the idea of spending so much money on something that doesn't exist in the leather community. The idea of finding of going to a leather convention into the vendor area and finding a vest that said $1,800 on it. No, absolutely not. Are you? No, it's a vest, a beautiful vest, a beautiful vest. Maybe maybe a third of that at most, but the idea of spending multiple thousands of dollars on beautiful, wonderful fursuits made by talented people charging what they're worth, the idea of that this is what it costs, and then seeing the same thing in leather and kink pony play probably doesn't raise an eyebrow.
Hmm.
I am not surprised to learn it doesn't raise an eyebrow and normalizes, I think, the idea that, well, this is what it costs. And I just try to tell people that is what it can cost, but it doesn't have to. And also, so I've been a pony for 30 years. Uh, I've only had what you would call a modern pony look for perhaps the last seven. Before that, it was my water hole hood. A fall safety harness was my pulling harness. It's like you said, it's a piece of safety equipment that is meant to keep someone from falling to their injury or death. So it was functional. And then I don't know, my shoes, some leather fingerless gloves I would wear and hold his fists. Yeah, I forget why I was talking about this. So I hope I've made a point.
You did. You did. Don't worry about that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, the point is yes, you can spend thousands of dollars
Yeah.
on gear and look beautiful as a pony, but you can also spend a tiny percentage of that and also look beautiful as a pony.
Yeah. A quick anecdote: your Bob Bassett hood is beautiful, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
love it. The hearts of the artists at Bob Bassett are also beautiful.
Hmm.
When I started taking commissions, I was very worried because these are clearly, and I admit freely, Bob Bassett inspired work because I absolutely love their work. So I reached out to them and said, "Look, I'm not trying to, I do not have the gall to even pretend I could compete with you, but I am not trying to steal from you. I just want to make these hoods, and I think your work is beautiful. Is it okay if I do this?" And I didn't really expect an answer, but I got one very quickly. And the answer I got was, "Thank you for the compliment. We take pride in our work. We will only be offended if you do a bad job. So work hard and practice, and good luck to you. Please make your hoods." And it was beautiful.
That is, I love that. And I love the fact that they've literally just fallen into this community because the original hood that they made was for a photo shoot for something,
Yeah.
something completely unrelated, and people just found it and went, "Wait a minute, hold on, these are beautiful. These are exactly the kind of thing that we're looking for." Yeah, I just think it's so interesting that that's how that all came together, and it's I find out that like for a lot of makers, it kind of happens that way too. It's just kind of, oh, we're just kind of falling into this, and there's a community that's looking for this, and I think it's brilliant.
I have a partner who is in the kink and music in the kink scene, but not the pony scene. They're We started dating a couple of years ago. They're a musician, uh, and she has played professionally. And I remember talking about pony play with her and mentioning Bob Bassett is my inspiration. And she was immediately taken aback because, of course, she only knew them. She knew Bob Bassett Studios, but through their music roots for providing
Hmm.
masks for various stage musicians, and which, of course, I didn't know anything about, but it was a fun little intersection of worlds there.
I should talk to them about some things. I have some ideas, only because my being a furry myself as well as a pony, which I've been pushing that off and kind of only recently gotten into it more. And also being a professional musician myself, the intersection of music and furry stuff is very much coming to a front these days, and trying to find ways to participate in both while also presenting as pony is getting difficult because you need your face available for
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff in music. Um, so I should talk to them about some ideas I have
I,
about possibly doing something, making something
well,
that would make that possible.
in my experience, they are a delight to speak with, uh, and they might actually be in some of our shared Telegram groups because they are in at least one of them. They're in
I
the
was
Pony Makers group.
I was unaware of that. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go hunt them down at some point and talk because that's interesting. Because like as much as my own tangent, as much as I want a fursuit eventually, and full well knowing how expensive they are, part of me kind of likes being in that furry space, but using other materials and not the traditional fur
Yeah.
materials being in there. So like I like the idea of a leather hood in that space because there are so many artists out there who are doing like paper hoods, 3D printed hoods. Like
Yeah.
there's a pixelated deer out there now that's
Yeah.
3D printed and it looks so cool. And I think that there's such an opportunity for other materials to get used and not immediately be seen as a kink material
Yeah.
because leather does emulate a lot of what a horse kind of looks like.
Mm.
in terms of that very smooth, very short hair. I kind of like being in that space, in that material, and being like, well, not all fursuits are the same,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't know if you've seen pictures, but for earlier this summer, using the diesel punk pony mask pattern, which is a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic place to start with DIY stuff. My uh, handler Lark and I used hair on hide leather to make an Icelandic pony set because she has an affinity for Icelandic ponies. I'd never
Mm-hmm.
worked with hair on hide before. It's what it sounds like. It is leather hide with the hair still on it,
Yeah.
and it was amazing and really nice. And I could, and also super warm as it should be. So I can't imagine wearing a full anything out of it, but as accent pieces or as a way to have that texture in addition to as part of a suit or hood or part of a that identity is something I'm going to explore more because it turned out very well, I think.
Yeah. And I'm very excited to see that when you get into that more and explore that a little bit more, because that's going to be,
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Let's change gears just a little bit,
of course.
because we ended up talking about gear for a very long time, which always happens. Anytime you get multiple horses in a room, they're going to start talking about their tack because they love it so much. Let's talk about, you've been a pony for 30 years
Yeah.
now. Let's talk about modern pony play and how it fits into this bigger role, or this bigger realm of pet play now, because it's different than it used to be.
Yes, certainly. So around the time I got into pony play and was engaging a little bit in person, but largely online. The pup community had not exploded yet the way that it eventually did with the when the Mr. S hoods hit the scene. Um, this was a niche and again, speaking just from my own perspective and my own experiences, it was highly fetishized in a not unpleasant way, but it was very much the bound human forced into an animal role, objectification, humiliation for some people. That's never been a part of my thing, but it was there. But kind of the classic pony submissive, bound human forced to act like a an animal, regardless of their headspace. It was rare. I was frequently the only person engaged in any sort of animal role play, and it certainly was an affectation early on for me. I was affecting the headspace, try to sell the illusion, but I was still very much, a young submissive or a young kinkster looking for people to engage in this with. I was looking for a community. Over time, as the internet became more of an enabler for connecting people, before we kind of jumped the shark with that, but as online communities became more accessible through instant messaging clients, news groups gave way to internet-based chat rooms instead of the dial-up service-based chat rooms. The early internet 1.0 muds, text-based role-playing games and chat rooms, IRC. We started to see kind of the proto modern internet emerge, where people and communities were able to connect more easily. You didn't have to know the secret handshake so much anymore to know where to go or how to get connected. When I began going to kink spaces, several years after I discovered everything online, because I, of course, didn't jump straight into in person activities. I did frequently find myself for a long time as the only person presenting as a member of what would now be called the pet play community. Of course, we didn't call it that. It was just pony play or pup play. And then I would explain to people, I just want to be treated like a horse. Would you like to treat me like a horse? And the answer was usually no, even amongst other kinksters. Though That could also be because I was young and awkward. Uh, but look at me now, old and awkward, and are haven't I done well? But it's things really began to change for me uh, in the aughts. Uh, after I remember going to a leather event, and oh my gosh, there are puppies everywhere, and they all have the same face. What's going on? Well, the Mr. S hood it
Hmm.
had hit, and lucky them, now there are pups everywhere. I even flirted briefly with well, here's a community now that exists in a way that in person that I could join, in a way that the pony community doesn't. I don't know any other ponies in person. Maybe I'm a pup. Maybe I can join this community. And the answer was no. When I inhabit that pony space, I feel more myself. When I put on a pup mask, I feel like I'm putting on a costume, which can be fun, but is that's not me. In 2007, I went to my first big kink event. Thank you, FAFSA student loans. I went to a local club because I finally decided, look, I'm going to go out to one. I'm going to become a regular at this club, or I'm going to live a lifetime of regret. And gosh darn it, I'm 28. I'm almost too old for any of this, uh, which in hindsight, of course, is ridiculous. But at the time, it felt like time was slipping away. So I went to the Sanctuary, a local club that had just opened. I met a lot of people that night who are still friends, and in one instance, my spouse to this day.
Hmm.
Because I went in with the idea I need to make connections, I need to meet people, and of course, the first thing I talked to anybody about was pony play. They invited me to Thunder in the Mountains 2007, where I met some other ponies from the local community. Wildfire, the godfather of Colorado pony play, who kept the scene alive single handedly for a decade until other ponies came around. He was vending at Thunder, and through him, I started to meet other people. And while he eventually left Colorado, his legacy was to sow the seeds, uh, to keep the ground fertile for, 5 years later, the foundation of the Rocky Mountain Pony Herd. And since then, we got a toehold in. We were at the time one of only a couple organized herds I recognized, but we were starting to see more ponies at leather events and at kink events. We're very lucky here in Colorado. It is a very queer community. It is a very welcoming and open community. The Colorado community at large, or at least the organizers of events within the Colorado community, appreciate when newer generations know their history and also understand that everybody gets to create their own traditions and their own place within the scene. It is very free here. And so ponies and pet players there was no friction when we started showing up in the Colorado scene and showing up at the leather and kink events. So things have really changed, and over time too, this affectation of look at me, I'm a horse, treat me like a horse, became internalized. Look at me, I'm a horse. I have a horse heart. I have a horse spirit. I want you to treat me like a horse because that's what I am. I am not doing this because I want the attention. So that was a very long answer, but really, the modern internet, for all of its problems, has made a concrete positive difference in pony and pet play communities, in that I remember what it was like when I was alone. I knew abstractly there were other people like me out there, but I couldn't connect with them. I couldn't talk to them. I couldn't have a community. But as things changed, the community coalesced, and that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you answered my my question of the two questions I ask everybody, so that's great. Um,
Oh,
to
good.
follow up on that, though, Yeah, I think the internet has been great to do that, to bring together a community, especially one that's as far flung as ours. I mean, you
Yeah.
and I are you have been an admin for the Pony Play Telegram group, very wide international one
Yeah.
for ever since I've joined it. Um, and that is a group of 660 some odd ponies across or across the world that are now all in the same chat talking to each other, which I mean without the internet, um, without a vehicle to do that would never have happened. So I mean that is a yeah, the internet has definitely brought together a niche community that has needed connection like that.
Yeah, it's and thank you for mentioning that chat, and I encourage ponies to join. It is a great community. I did not start that chat. All credit goes to Charisma Pony for
Mm.
starting that. When I joined the chat, I was the 11th person to join.
Wow.
Um, as is often the case, real life intervened, and Charisma has, I'm sure, temporarily stepped away. And one day I fired up Telegram to find I was the admin. And I take that responsibility seriously. Although I can't do it by myself, I am grateful for all the help I have from the other admins, such as yourself.
Mm.
It's the community is important. It's all we have, and it deserves people to take it seriously. And I am grateful for that. That there are so many of us who take it seriously for something that is fun and fulfilling and lighthearted. What it gives people is important, and what it gives people should not be taken lightly. So that thank you for mentioning that. I am pleased that it is what it is, and I hope it continues to be that.
And thank you for that. Once again, always making me feel better after a conversation with you. And the reason why I say that is because so much of the like the social media race that is out there, and this is a topic that I'm going to cover with another person in the future who's a bit more of an expert on it, especially more than myself. But it always feels like at a certain point, if that's without the community aspect, if you don't have that chat where you're connecting with other ponies, it almost feels like competition all the time. Like, you
Mhm.
have to be, that pony. You want the attention in a way that's unhealthy. And I'm speaking for my own
Right.
experience, especially as a pony who doesn't have a regular handler, and is not in a any sort of relationship at this point, where you're kind of constantly trying to attract someone who would be
Mhm.
interested in doing that. And at a certain point, you kind of almost feel like other ponies are your competition to find people, because it always feels like, and it shouldn't feel like this, so it always feels like there is a limited number of people who are interested in being a handler. It's kind of like how it's the same thing in gay communities where it's like there's a shortage of tops, which
Yeah.
it may always seem like that, but it's never true. It's never true. There's always going to be someone out there who wants to participate in this with you.
Yeah.
And having that community to find yourself in and be circled by is always the way to get out of that mindset.
A- Absolutely. And I am very fortunate that I have the handlers and partners that I have. I existed as a pony for far longer by myself as a solo pony.
Hmm.
Um, I'm grateful for what I have, but I am acutely aware that there are a lot of ponies out there who don't have those partners yet, and I don't want it to feel like a competition, and I certainly don't want people to feel bad. People will find their partners. Uh, I am approached sometimes on social media, or more commonly in person, with the question, how do I find a handler? How do I find a dominant? How do I find a fill in the blank? And the advice I give, because it is what happened with me, is one, there's no secret. Like I'm not gonna, I can't tell you a thing that is going to turn this around. But what I can do is offer reassurance, um, that I'm sorry it will feel like forever, but it will happen sooner than you think. And also, the success. What I think people should do is focus on finding a partner who wants to explore this with you. They might not be a dominant. They might not be a handler, but they might be someone who cares about you and wants to get to know you and wants to help you find fulfillment. Uh, so my handler Lark and currently the person I co-educate with most frequently. I met Lark at Thunder in the Mountains 2018. The Rocky Mountain Pony Herd was hosting the hospitality suite that the one of the local orgs was in charge of. For $20, your group could bring in drinks and snacks and hosted hospitality suite. Lark came in. This woman came in and chatted and saw the hood I'd made, and she's a maker too, and we chatted. Um, and that's how we met. And then she called me a few weeks later and asked me out for coffee, and we hit it off. But one of the things was like she's not a handler. She's not a switch or a dominant. She's a submissive. But she's also interested in me, and I was interested in her. So let's explore this. And over time, we figured it out what handling me as a handler in a way that is fulfilling to her and genuine to her and who she is, her identity in these spaces, what that looks like in a way that is not performative but is genuine. And it's been wonderful and for both of us because she would tell me if it weren't. That such is the nature of our relationship. And outside of Pony, we have a power exchange dynamic. But within Pony, she's my handler when we're together, and I'm her pony. And she is not dominating me because you don't dominate a bio horse. It'll kick the head clean off your shoulders. But you do handle it because they're big and goofy and just need someone to tell them what to do. Um, so yeah, to circle back, talking with people, ponies who are looking for their handlers, a partner can come in any shape and size and be a wonderful handler. And don't don't limit you deserve more than the disappointment of finding a pre-molded dominant to be your handler because that could be a little hard to find. You deserve the happiness of someone who loves and respects you and wants you to have this and is willing to explore it with you. So those are the people you should look out for, that you should seek out.
Yes. I promise I won't cry on this podcast. Damn it. Uh, I have no response except yes. So many times we need to hear things like that, especially from, I mean, I don't want to call you my elder because you're really not that much older than me. Um, but for someone who has been involved in this community for so much longer than I have, hearing these are words of wisdom that need to get passed down and need to be talked about, and I think just aren't spoken nearly enough.
Thank you. And for what it's worth, thank you for providing a place for me to say them. I agree. I don't think I've invented a new sentiment, but I believe it strongly. Uh, when I was much younger, half a lifetime ago, I was intensely lonely in a way that was formative, and I remember what that was like, and I would spare everybody that if I could.
Hmm.
But I learned some things from it, and if sharing what I learned can help other people avoid it, then I feel an obligation to do that. No one should have to feel the way I felt.
Absolutely. And someone who has gone through that experience just since the last time you and I have talked face to face, completely agree. And as someone who has gone through a lot of growth in that time through that loneliness in the last. We saw each other around Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
The amount of growth that has happened in that amount of time going through that kind of loneliness, I would share the same feeling that no one should have to experience that in the same way.
Yeah. It's funny I'm sure you're familiar with the author Chuck Tingle.
I'm not actually.
Oh, you're not. Well, don't you have a treat ahead of you?
Great.
Uh, I encourage you to look into him and read up on him. He comes to a lot of people's consciousness through the novelty of by and large, he writes short form gay and queer erotica.
Okay.
He is what stands out immediately to most people to start are the novel titles that the novelty of the titles of his work. But when and they're very funny, but when you peel it back and see who he is as a person, um, the representation he gives for the queer community, the autistic community, um, the his catchphrase of "love is real." If I could be anybody, or if I really, if I could, the aspirational version of myself embodies the spirit of Chuck Tingle. And I try to move forward with that because he expresses such a pure distillation of this idea that love is real and that you deserve it and that it is out there.
Hmm.
And yeah, anyways, it, look into him. He's an amazing person.
I definitely will. I mean, I know what I'm doing when we're done here today.
Yeah.
I think we need to bring it back to some fun stuff now. We've gotten very deep, which is
Yeah.
not
Oh,
what I was
sure.
expecting when we started this an hour ago, and I'm thrilled that we did go into that
Yeah.
direction. But we do need to we do need to stop this at some point.
Next question.
Next question. Yes. Once again, asking everybody this because as someone who found the only kink podcast and that's really been widely accepted uh, is basically done by two porn stars who live this life 100%. I'm asking everybody, what's daily life like for you? Because everyone is different. Everyone participates this at a certain percentage.
Hmm.
You've alluded to that a little bit, but like, what's daily life like for you?
So daily life in average day. So daily life, contrary to what you would see from my social media, a lot of I don't spend a lot of time being dressed as or acting as a pony. This is something I get to do sometimes. It's it feels like pretty typical, which makes sense because I feel pretty typical. I get up, I'm a night person, so my day starts wishing I'd had more sleep. It is a fight to get out of bed because I get between 5.5 6 hours of sleep a night. I have a now teenager. I have a spouse. I am a public sector scientist. Thank you, taxpayers. Thank you, everybody. Um, I get up. I make breakfast for myself. If it's the weekend, I make breakfast for the family. Then I go to work. I am now, I still have the option of working from home. I will drive back. I am enjoying being at the office around my colleagues and I do my job. I sit and think about problems that need answers. We are supported by the National Science Foundation. Thank you, taxpayers, to support post K through 12 education at the university level, to provide support through expertise, software, and various other skills. I spend my day in a different type of community service because community is all we have. And I am pleased that I am living a life where I get to be part of multiple communities. I also live with ADHD, so my typical day can take me in unexpected places if I let my focus wander. Uh, but I will spend the day just typically on Telegram, chatting with the spouse, chatting with. I have a handful of regular partners who I chat with, make plans with, and then I go home. I don't want to be an absent father. I don't want to be an absent husband. Um, I have a semi regular schedule where I will go. I will go have dinner with Lark on a particular night, for example, and then be there through the evening, just getting time with her. Or I'll go see Jen, or I'll go see a couple other partners. But I try to spend more time at home than away. It's a lot of boring stuff, man. I do laundry. I mowed the yard. I try my hand at home repairs to mixed result. I wish I spend a lot of time wishing I had more time and wishing I made better use some days of the time that I have.
Hmm.
I get distracted with my hobbies. 3D printing. I got a Cricut in the last year because my elbows hurt, and I heard it could cut leather. It will, yay! So now I can cut leather without hurting my elbows further, and I can keep making tails and pony gear, tails and hoods, and other things. I play video games in the evening. Either with Lark and other friend groups or by myself. Or I will sit up on the couch and watch TV with the spouse. Or I'll read. I really like Warhammer 40K fiction. The fictional universe grabbed me in grad school a long time ago, and I've been reading that sort of sci-fi. So a typical day is not that atypical. I get up, I go about my business of being an adult, because if I don't, everything falls apart. And I try to make sure that the people who grace me with their love and affection receive love and affection in return. And then I go to bed 2 hours after I probably should.
And that's kind of my point with that question is that we're all boring, normal people
Yeah.
when you take us off the internet.
Yeah.
Like everything that gets posted, everything that we do is curated to a certain point, and bills still have to be paid,
Yeah.
and cats still need to be fed. Uh,
Mm.
you still have to go, you know, fix a toilet if you're at my job. Like, there's so much real life that does happen in between the
Yeah.
posts.
I I can be thoughtless. I can be unintentionally hurtful. It is cold comfort, but still comfort, that I am able to not be intentionally hurtful. That isn't who I would want to be, and I there's an aspirational version of myself that I try to reach when I make decisions. But I'm a real person, and sometimes I will say a thing thoughtlessly, and then
Mm-hmm.
both feel awful, but that's second to how I've made someone else feel. It's gutting to make someone else feel bad unintentionally, or intent. It isn't good. I can be clumsy. I can be careless. I My hands are covered in unexplained cuts, probably from the workshop, but I don't know. It is easy, like you said, curated. My presence online is authentic, but it is curated because there's a lot of stuff there I don't think people would want to see. It
Mm-hmm.
it's not exciting. It's not pony play. It's not uh, necessarily pleasant. People don't want to hear that I was frustrated and said a thing and accidentally made someone cry, and then spent the evening apologizing and making up for it and resolving to myself to do better, because it wasn't intentional. The literal definition of thoughtless. I didn't think before I spoke, and then I bore the consequences of that, and it's shameful. But that as you say, we are all complete people and individuals. We're not just the ponies. We put ourselves out there. But to the extent I can help encourage other people to find this side of themselves, I will keep putting those pictures out there, and I will keep reaffirming to people you can have this, but also want more than to be just this, because I am.
Mm.
Everybody is, and you deserve to have that well-rounded life as well. Sorry, I'm not trying to be serious, but it is a my day to day is boring. My dog needs a walk. That is what will happen after this. I will be out there walking a dog, and no one will know I'm really a horse.
I love that so much. Um, Everyone deserves a boring life.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do some fun stuff to end
sure.
this. Okay, we're gonna do some quick word association. You're lucky you got the full list. Rye didn't get the full list. We made it up as we went.
Uh,
Um, I know. Just first thing that comes off the top of your head. First word is gear.
Optional.
Ooh, okay. Ritual,
Getting tacked up.
parade.
Uh, Scary.
Ooh, yeah, right. Tension.
Regret.
Ooh, okay, interesting. Tension could go a lot of different ways. It's such a
Yeah.
broad term. Um, bridle,
Pride.
show ring,
Family.
mane.
Cute partners.
Okay, and then I'm trying to reclaim this word because it's used for a terrible act. Grooming.
Happiness.
Mm, same, same.
You.
I love a grooming scene.
Oh.
It is my favorite
Oh.
thing.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We got to be so careful here. Pony
I know.
grooming.
Pony
Pony
grooming.
grooming
Pony grooming.
scenes are fantastic. Pony grooming brings me happiness.
Like I said, it needs to. We need to reclaim the word because
We do it. We ain't there yet.
soon, one day, one day. Okay.
uh,
Well, let's end on a awkward but joking note. Thank you, Tromper, so much for coming on this podcast. It has been an absolute delight. I cannot even, once again, begin to describe some of the wisdom that you have imparted on me, let alone our listeners as well. Before we go, where can people find you online?
so you can find me online. So Telegram's probably going to be the best way. I'm also on Blue Sky. I am at Tromper on Telegram. I am at Pony Tromper on Blue Sky, or I might just be Tromper because now I'm second guessing myself. You can find me on FetLife as Tromper. I'll be the one in Colorado, and I will respond to you eventually, I promise. But it is not the quickest way to get a hold of me. In person, I can be found tromping around in the Rocky Mountain Front Range, based out of Denver, Colorado. You can find me educating at various events throughout the country. I'll be at Unstabled in Oregon in a couple weeks. High Elevation Colorado Kink is in September, as well as the Creekside Derby at a camp event organized by the Pikes Peak Herd. I'm acting in a support role there. It's very exciting. In October is Equus in Los Angeles, as well as the virtual PonyCon that Pony Girl Ginger is putting on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be teaching. Lark and I will be teaching a building and maintaining community at PonyCon. And sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, we're also teaching Help My Handlers is Submissive, but that's going to be at the outdoor camp event. And that's basically about finding successful partnerships with, regardless of the dynamic. But you can always find me at any sort of leather or kink event that I can make it out to.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks for listening to Straight from the Horse's Mouth. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week for more.